World War II was a battle not only of armies but of economies. In the vast Atlantic Ocean, a silent and relentless struggle unfolded, a war of tonnage. German U-boats prowled the seas, targeting merchant ships to cripple Allied supply lines. This was not just a fight for territory, but a fight for survival, where every ship sunk reshaped the war's course. Join us as we explore the strategies, impacts, and human stories behind the Battle of the Atlantic. We are here today with Karl Donitz, the commander of the German Navy. Donitz has been leading this navy for a few years, and was the one who came up with the idea of making German U-boats, which attack merchant ships and even military ships of other nations. This technology was first utilized by the German Navy back in World War I. General, could you tell us about the German naval strategy throughout this war?
Thank you for having me here today. Our naval strategy is going very well. We have been using our U-boats to attack the fleets of many nations, but especially those of Great Britain. Great Britain has been one of our biggest enemies since the end of World War I, and ever since they declared war on this great German Republic. We have been attacking them constantly in hopes to destroy their economy. A large part of our attack has been in the Atlantic Gap, where we have been non-stop attacking ships. This is an area of the Atlantic that is, right now, unreachable by the airplanes of the Allies. So we have been using this to our advantage by sending many U-boats out there.
Now, Commander, what will be the strategy of your Navy once that gap is closed? Some nations like the United States are working on new bombers that will essentially be able to close this Atlantic gap.
We are very aware of this issue, and we are closely working with the Luftwaffe to also develop our technologies. We are also exploring advanced sonar and countermeasure systems to ensure our U-boats remain a step ahead of Allied efforts.
We will now be speaking to the President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, about the devastating impacts of the War of Tonnage on not only their economy, but the other Allied nations. Mr. President, could you please first explain what a war of tonnage is for the viewers?
Sure. So in short, a war of tonnage is a type of warfare that focuses on attacking the economy of nations by attacking their merchant ships, not necessarily their navy. What Germany has been doing not only in the Atlantic Gap but throughout the world is a tonnage war, since they attack many merchant ships and not necessarily the navies, although there have been some military ships sunk.
And how much do you estimate that your economy has lost so far in destroyed merchandise and ships?
Well, we know from the Battle of the Atlantic that over 14 million tons in Allied goods were lost, along with the thousands of human casualties. The losses from the entire war are likely much more. However, it is likely that we will never get an exact number just due to the sheer amount of ships being sunk. Despite these significant losses, our nation and our allies remain committed to overcoming these challenges. Our shipyards are working tirelessly to replace lost vessels, and our innovations in air and naval defense will turn the tide.
Thank you for your time, Mr. President. Lastly, we will be interviewing citizens of Great Britain to see what impacts they have noticed at home from the War of Tonnage. We are here with citizen Archie Smith. Archie, what are your opinions on the War of Tonnage?
Well, I will tell you that it has been hard to get items here at home. The U-boats from Germany have been heavily targeting our country, and I think that it is beginning to show here at home. Food and fuel rationing have become stricter, and many families are struggling to get basic necessities. It's a daily reminder of how the war affects us.
And what do you think the military's response to the tonnage war caused by German U-boats should be?
I believe that we should take them down by using our boats along with submarines. We, along with the rest of the Allies, have an abundant supply of submarines that we can use to attack these U-boats to stop the attack on our merchant ships. We also should be receiving help economically from the Allied nations to make up for the lack of merchant ships for our nation.
One final question, why do you think that Britain is being heavily targeted versus other nations like the United States, who currently have a very strong economy?
Well, a big part of this is the fact that America has two oceans surrounding them, but the ships are traveling outside of the country. They are heavily reliant on merchant ships, so they have a large amount of them. So although they may have more being sunk, the percentage is much lower than ours.